almost never built by the government. And I'll walk you through a number of the popular ones that have come up in the debate. So you take the U.S. Washington National Cathedral. What most people don't know is that it's an Anglican church. In the U.S., it's called an Episcopal church because the Anglican church in the U.S., that's how it's called. And this church, or this cathedral, is actually an Anglican cathedral. Its real name is the Cathedral of St. Paul and St. Peter. So the fact that it's often called, branded the National Cathedral, doesn't mean that the government of the United States went to find money and pumped it into it. The Christian community and ordinary people in the United States who love it for its history contribute. And it cost them about $65 million in today's money to build that with no government money whatsoever. Notre Dame has also often been mentioned as the National Cathedral of France. It's a Catholic cathedral. The Catholics ran it. They have custodianship. If you go to Jerusalem, you go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, you find out that the Greek Orthodox have custodianship in different places. On some of the different nativity sites, you have the Russian Orthodox, etc. So typically you have these custodianship, and then they are responsible for finding the money to put into it. The Israeli government doesn't fund the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It's not that, that's not how it works. In fact, Notre Dame was recently burnt down, and resources had to be found to restore it. If you've noticed, all the $790 million have come from corporate and private donations. Not a single penny, cent, dollar of government of France money has gone into Notre Dame because it's a Catholic cathedral. It may be the National Cathedral of France, the most impressive mother church of France, but that doesn't mean that you have to put government money in it necessarily. In Paul Cathedral in Britain, cost about $230 million. Interesting funding model. Special tariff on coal brought into the port of London is how they funded the cathedral. You will say, well, that is almost quasi-government. Well, the truth is that at that time, Anglicanism was the established church of England. What that means is that they had a national religion. And the head of state was also the governor of the church. And therefore, in that regard, if the City of London, with the approval of Parliament, decide to place a special tariff on coal imports into London to pay for it, it's understandable. But even so, it was not ordinary people's taxes in the consolidated funds or the treasury, as they call it in Britain, that went into paying for St. Paul. You can think of Denmark, which is another religion, where the national religion is the Lutheran religion. And this is a Protestant country. And there also, you have very important churches like the Church of Our Lady, which is often considered the mother church in Copenhagen and the national church. And it is not funded by the public. It is funded by the church. In fact, so much so that even though it's also a listed tourist site, and a lot of people visit Our Lady, the Church of Our Lady, when they have damages, sometimes due to the pressure brought on it by tourists, the government insists that payment is done by the church, because it's church property. So we have to be very clear in terms of where we understand these concepts of national cathedral.